Good afternoon.
Sergeant, will you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, thank you, sir.
Could you go ahead and state and spell your name for the court, please?
It's Sergeant Michael Forrester. First name is Michael. Last name Forrester.
All right. And Sergeant Forster, how are you currently employed?
I'm currently a sergeant with the Gwinnett County Police Department.
How long have you worked for the Gwinnett County Police Department?
20 years.
Tell us a little bit about the training and the experience that you have in order to have the position you have now.
Over the past 20 years, I've been through close to between 3,000 to 4,000 hours of training. The academy had between 400 to 700 hours of training here with Gwinnett County. Every year we go through training of different types, get different certifications. In order to get to my position, I have to go through we call it field training officer class, so I can train other officers, then can get promoted to corporal through other training classes and stuff like that. And then eventually, a couple of years ago, I got promoted to sergeant. So.
All right. So Sergeant Forster, are you a certified police officer by the state of Georgia?
I am.
Now, have you worked in various parts of the county throughout your tenure with the police department?
Most of my career has been at the West Precinct, which encompasses Norcross, the city of Peachtree Corners, and parts of Lilburn. For a short period, I was in detectives, worked general crimes and auto theft, where I also went to other parts of the county to investigate those crimes.
So I want to go ahead and take you back to November 21st of 2021. Were you still working in the same area, Norcross, as you just told the jury?
Yes.
Now, were you involved in the investigation of Amari Hall when she was initially reported missing?
Yes.
Now, tell us a little bit about the nature of the call that you received prior to responding.
Initially, it came in as a missing child. A couple officers responded. I believe it was around 30 minutes into the call when they had not been able to locate her. I responded to the scene. That day, I was an acting supervisor. We had one sergeant on duty that day, so myself and another corporal were assisting with supervisor responsibilities that day.
Do you recall around what time you responded to the hometown studios?
It was mid-morning, somewhere between 9:30 and 10, I believe.
All right. Is there a protocol that is in place when there are missing children reported to the Gwinnett County Police Department, or does it depend?
It kind of depends on the situation. Like I said, initially it came in as a missing child. The first responding officers got there. The very first thing that we usually do on missing children, even missing adults, is we'll search the house, or in this case, the hotel room. We'll also search the areas right around it. You kind of start small and then work your way out. After the first initial officers weren't able to locate her either in the room or in the general vicinity on the hotel grounds, is when we started getting additional officers to the scene to start a more thorough search outside and of the hotel property.
Now, go ahead and describe to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury the area. Tell us about the hometown studios, its layout. Just describe it for us, please.
Sure. This particular hotel is one of three that sits off of Jimmy Carter Boulevard. Behind the hotel is a wooded area that has a pretty steep bank that drops off into the access road of Peachtree Parkway onto Jimmy Carter Boulevard and Peachtree Industrial Boulevard. So it's a pretty busy area back through those woods. If you're facing the hotel, off to your left, there's another hotel, and behind that is a big wooded area. And then on the other side of that is a apartment complex. In front of the hotels, there's a car wash. There's a restaurant, I think it's a hibachi style restaurant. And then across the street, you have a Waffle House, McDonald's, two-story shopping area, with small little shops and stuff like that. The Jimmy Carter right there is a total of 5 lanes, got 2 going each way with a center turn lane. So it's a fairly busy area as far as traffic goes.
Do you recall the room number which you responded to?
I believe it was 251.
Okay. And was this on the first floor, second floor?
It's on the second floor.
Tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what happened when you got there.
When I first got there, I met with the 2 officers that were there. And my first, instinct was to go and start getting information about the child. We had officers coming to the area. We already had some officers out in the area. So we needed to get as much information about the child that we could to find out, her name, her age, what she might be wearing, the circumstances behind when she went missing, how long has she been missing, that kind of information.
Now, you eventually did that, is that correct?
That is correct.
All right, and prior to that, I want to show you a few things. Judge, may I approach the witness?
You may.
Sergeant Forster, I'm going to show you what has previously been shown to defense counsel and marked as States Exhibits 1 through 4. Could you have a look at this and see if you recognize those?
Yes.
And what are they?
They are photos of the exterior of the hotel where I responded to that day.
Okay. And to your knowledge, do those accurately reflect the hotel as you remember it being and being familiar with?
Yes.
Any material alterations or deletions or adjustments to it to your knowledge?
It's been like this for almost 20 years.
Okay. All right. Judge, at this time, I would move to tender into evidence States Exhibit 1 through 4. Again, I have previously shown these to defense counsel.
Any objection? They admit it without objection.
Thank you. And may I have permission to publish these as well?
You may.
Thank you. All right, Sergeant Forrester, I am going to show you what has been previously marked as States Exhibit 1, 2, 3, and 4, but we'll start with States Exhibit number 1. Please describe to the jury what it is that States Exhibit 1 is showing.
That is the exterior of the hotel, 7049 Jimmy Carter Boulevard, Hometown Studios. It's a 2-story hotel. It's actually got a total of 3 buildings on the property.
I'm going to show you States Exhibit number 2. Do you recall what is it that we're looking at here?
So that's just a little cut through to the walkway, and then behind that light brown beige wall there is the staircase that goes to the second level.
All right, and I have States Exhibit number 3 as well as going into States Exhibit 4. What is it that we are seeing here?
So that was the staircase leading to the second
Okay.
level. Make a right, and the door all the way to the right of that picture is 251.
Is that the door with the yellow tape over it?
Yes, it is.
All right, Sergeant Forster, you met with who when you first got there?
To the scene or to the room?
To the room.
To the room. When I walked into the room, I met with the mother and another lady that was in the room.
Okay. Do you remember the name of the mother?
Off the top of my head, I do not.
Would that be Brittany Hall?
Yes.
All right. And did you also see this defendant, Celeste Owens, present as well?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the demeanor of each.
When I walked into the room, they're both in the room. One of the females was sitting on the bed on her phone, just kind of sitting there. The other female was kind of, I don't want to say pacing, but just kind of right in the area next to the bed. Kind of describe that room a little bit. When you first walk in, there's a king or queen size bed directly in front of the front door. And then to the left of that is another bed of the same size. And then just on the opposite side of that is like a mini kitchen. It's got a sink, a fridge, stuff like that. It is an extended stay hotel, so place to be able to prepare some meals and stuff like that.
All right, Sergeant Forrester, I am going to show you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibits 5, 6, 7, and 8, also previously shown the defense counsel. Could you have a look at those and tell me what those are, please?
Yes, these are photos of the interior of the room that I was just describing.
And do those accurately reflect the room as you recall when you arrived there on November 21st of 2021?
Yes, of course, there's some items that bedding that have been moved around, luggage, stuff like that, where we had searched stuff. But
Okay.
as far as the furniture, stuff like that, everything's pretty much the same.
Any material alterations, deletions, or adjustments that you notice on any of these?
No.
Judge, at this time, I would move to tender into evidence State's Exhibits 5, 6, 7, and 8, again previously shown to defense counsel.
No objection.
Admitted without objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I publish these as well?
You may.
All right, this is going to be State's Exhibit number 5. Could you explain to the jury what it is that we're looking at here?
That's the door leading into the room. That's the first bed directly in front of the door. And that is the bed that the two adult females stated that they used, where one of them was sitting when I walked in.
All right, I'm going to show you State's Exhibit number 6. Is this just a wider
Yes,
vantage point?
it's the bed on the right is that first bed when you first come in. The bed to the left. When I got there, there was two other children sleeping in that bed. One to the far left, one to the far right, with a vacant spot in the middle.
Sorry.
And then you can kind of see the kitchen area off to the left as well.
All right, I'm going to move over to State's Exhibit number 7. What are we looking at here?
It's just another shot of the room. You can see across from the beds, there's a little stand above that. You can't really see it in there. There's a TV. Just on the other side of that wall, there's a rod for your hanging clothes and stuff like that as well.
And finally, State's Exhibit number 8.
Yes, that's basically, that's the second bed that was in the pictures, and then the little kitchenette area, and then that doorway leads to a bathroom.
And is that the entirety of the room?
Yes.
There's nothing else? There's no balcony or anything else
No.
there? Is there one exit in and one entrance in, one exit out?
Correct.
Just one door?
Just one door.
And what information did you get about Amari? Tell us what you were told.
We start off by asking if we don't know at the time, is it male, female, age, name, are there any medical conditions that we need to know about? During this time, at some point during the conversations, we were told that she took medication at 10 o'clock at night and 10 o'clock in the morning. Also, during one of the conversations I had with the mom, she mentioned to me that her child did have some form of autism, but high functioning, which personally I know a little bit about because I do have a child that also is high functioning. So it helped me relate a little bit better as far as asking questions about how Amari would respond to us as far as would she run from police? What are things that she would be attracted to? Things that normal kids would do, children with any form of autism may vary in that to some extent. So it was important to try to get some information from mom about her, about that kind of stuff.
Was the majority of your conversation coming from Brittany Hall, the mother, as you were stating, or was it coming from this defendant? Who was doing the talking, do you recall?
The majority of the conversations I had was with the mother.
Okay.
Towards the end of my day out there, I did have some conversations with the defendant as well.
Was anybody else in the room other than this defendant and Brittany Hall?
2 other children. They were in the bed asleep.
Do you recall which bed they would have been on?
The one that was closest to the kitchen area right there.
You could stand up if you need to, sir.
Sure. So they were in this one. One was on this side of the bed. One was on that side of the bed. And then right in the center, there was an empty spot, potentially for someone else to be sleeping, but it did not appear that anyone had been in that bed.
And I think what you were pointing at was State's Exhibit number 7 there in demonstrating. Now, as you are at the hometown studios having these conversations and gathering the information, are there other law enforcement officers around?
Yes.
Is there a lot of activity that is occurring around the hotel?
Yes. So as I was in the room, of course, I went up there with Officer Tran and Officer Soto. They were the first responding officers, and they were going to be handling the actual report. So they were gathering the information for the report as I was also getting information to pass on to the officers that were responding to the scene to start searching for the child.
And do you know the names of the 2 other children who were in the room?
I do not.
But you understood them to be the siblings of Amari?
Yes.
Now, what were they doing with all this activity happening around them?
As far as I can remember, they were sleeping almost the entire time.
So you don't recall them coming up to you or talking to you or moving around or running around?
No.
Did they try to look out the window to see what was going on?
No.
They didn't want to look at the flashing blue lights and the police cars that you recall?
No.
Did you notice any children's toys or children's things in the room at all?
I don't recall that. When I respond to a scene like that, I'm not paying attention necessarily to that kind of detail.
Were either Brittany Hall or Celeste Owens crying?
Like sobbing, crying, no. The mother at one point, I remember seeing her like wipe a tear, from her face, but not crying where, you're flowing tears type of crying, no.
Were they, did either Brittany Hall or defendant Celeste Owens seem frantic to you?
No.
How would you describe their demeanor?
Fairly calm. Nothing erratic.
Were you able to determine if Amari had ever left the location before on her own?
If I remember, she told me that she'd never have. This was the first time.
And at some point, were you told if there was any surveillance video at the hotel?
Yes, the hotel there does have some surveillance videos.
Did you have an opportunity to either see any of that surveillance video or be notified that other officers had watched it?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So during part of the questioning as far as what happened that night prior to officers getting there, we were told that
That's fine. Sergeant Forster, can you answer that question?
Sure. What I recall is the mother telling us at some point she had gone to the gas station through the parking lot. It's a BP gas station to buy Amari some candy. When she got back, Amari wanted the candy. She was told she could not have the candy. And so that was kind of the end of that night where she went to sleep. Was told, don't remember if the mother told us or if the defendant told us about what time she came to the hotel. So we just had some knowledge of both of them coming and going from the hotel. So officers went to go review the video to see if any time from when the mother came back from the BP with Amari to that morning when officers got there, if we could see anything that matched with those statements, and also see if we could see Amari leaving the property.
Okay. And were you able to see Amari leaving the property?
I was not, no.
Any officer to your knowledge?
No.
Now, let me ask you this. When you got there, were you given any information about whether or not Brittany Hall had gone to look for Amari right before calling the police?
Yes, she said that she had left and looked around the hotel property for her child.
And did officers in the investigation while you were there review surveillance for that time period to see if that's in fact what happened?
To my knowledge, yes, they did.
And was any information relayed to you about whether or not they could see at least Brittany Hall walk around the building prior to calling law enforcement?
To my knowledge, no one was seen walking around.
Was there an actual search of the property that was conducted of the hometown studios?
Yes, there was.
Was there a door-to-door search of every room there?
I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure of every room. I did participate in some of those. One of the things that we did is we made contact with the management. One of the guys that lives on the property is the maintenance guy. He has full access to all the rooms. Every day they print out a vacant room list. So that's the first thing that we did is we started with the vacant rooms, and I went with the maintenance guy who had the key and opened up every room for us, allowed us access into those rooms, to the laundry rooms, to the supply closets, anything that they had. I'm not sure if management continued to contact guests or not, but I did not contact any guest rooms, just the vacant rooms.
Okay, but you did accompany the maintenance man to look into the various rooms that were there that you testified to?
Yes.
And at this point, was there a canine officer that also went out?
Yes, he arrived when I initially was in the room talking with the mother.
So you're having the conversation, but there's still searches happening around you, is that right?
Correct.
And ultimately, an incident command center, was that set up there at the hotel?
Yes. Sergeant Much, who was the sergeant in charge that day, set up the incident command.
All right. We'll talk to him. Now, with all of this that happened, were you able to locate Amari?
No.
Did this defendant tell you anything about the last time she saw Amari?
I'm trying to recall. What I can recall is her stating that when she came home that morning, I don't remember what time, it was sometime after the mother had gone to bed, that she came home and went to bed.
Do you know how she found out Amari was missing?
I don't recall.
Okay, that's fine. And was that the extent of your involvement, your role in this investigation?
One other thing that I did participate in with the canine officer is I went with him and we did a search of the property with the canine.
Okay.
We looked in every vehicle through the windows. We went to the dumpsters, the big wooded area in between the hotels and the apartment complex. We did a thorough search of that, where we had contact with at least 2 homeless individuals that live in that wooded area, who said that they had no contact with anyone all night. They'd stayed there all night. We ended up going into the apartment complex, kind of walked through that back up to Holcomb Bridge Road, made a left, circled back around to the hotel, searching the area to see if we could see any signs of her there as well. Later on, we also did a search across Jimmy Carter in a big wooded area over there as well.
The Hometown Studios, is that located here in Gwinnett County, Georgia?
It is.
I think that's all the questions I have for you right now. I'll hand you over to Mr. Greenwald.
Good afternoon, Sergeant Forrester. How are you, sir?
Good, sir.
Just a couple of brief questions. So the hotel room that you went into had 2 beds, right?
Correct.
You did not make note, and obviously when you're entering a room, not only are you potentially looking for the missing child, but you're looking for potentially evidence of a crime, I would assume.
At that time, we were looking for a missing child.
But as a trained police officer, I assume you would have made note if you had seen blood droplets or blood smeared on the floor, on the wall, correct?
Not necessarily.
In this particular case, you did not note any, right?
Correct. I did not see any.
Also did not note any broken furniture, tables, chairs, anything of that nature, correct?
Not that I'm aware of.
And I understand when you went in the room, your primary focus was in regards to finding a missing child, but based upon your training as a police officer and all your years of training and having been in investigations, you did not note any evidence of any type of struggle that had gone on in that room, correct?
Not to that I saw, no.
And the information that Amari's medical condition, you got that from her mom, Ms. Hall, that I think in your own words she said she was high functioning or had high functioning autism. That was from Ms. Hall, right?
I believe so, yes.
As well as the medication she was purportedly taking, I think twice a day.
Yes, I was told twice a day, yes.
Thank you, sir.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
All right, may the witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
No objection.
All right, thank you, Sergeant. You're excused.
Thank you, ma'am.
State ready to call the next witness.
Yes, Your Honor, we are. We'll call Sergeant Much.
Sergeant, will you raise your right hand, please, sir? Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you're about to give be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I swear.
Thank you.
Sergeant, could you state and spell your name for the court, please?
Bless you.
John Much, M-U-T-C-H.
Right, and Sergeant Much, tell us how you are currently employed.
I'm employed with the Gwinnett County Police Department as a sergeant.